You go to high school in Inglewood. You think you're gonna get into Harvard?
I'm from a poor, crime-filled neighborhood, raised by a single mother, don't know my dad, blah, blah. It's cliche.
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Malcolm Adekanbi. I'm a straight-A student with nearly perfect SAT scores.
Hey everybody, welcome to another Native Thoughts review. Native Thoughts is here reviewing another review, but before I go on with the review, if you are watching this on YouTube, you can listen to the exact same audio on SoundCloud, and if you are listening to this on SoundCloud, you can listen to the exact same audio on YouTube format, on a video format, on youtube.com, and you could watch it on YouTube, you could listen to it on SoundCloud, you could do vice versa. However, let's go back to the review. This time it's a movie. It's another movie I was been excited for because I've been hearing great things about. It's a movie that I was excited to see because of the director, because of everything that's been presented, and is dope. And the movie is dope, starring a character named Malcolm. Malcolm is a character of Malcolm living a day-to-day struggle into the hood of Inglewood, California, and he tries his best to not be those typecast cliche of being those thuggish black characters. So, but he is a geek. He grew up in this era of hipsters land. You know, he's a millennial. This is exactly showing you what millennials are. And he grew up. Pretty much grows up off high school, listening to, being in love with 90s culture, 90s hip hop, which is, I also personally think is a great era for hip hop. 90s clothing line, 90s hairstyle, 90s gangs and stuff like that. He's a nerd, but he's a hipster also. And the fact that he is black, it makes it more of a gimmick and a cliche comedy fact in this one. In this movie, as you have Malcolm going along the trend of trying to fit in and trying to make it out in his life, to make it out of the hood, trying to be someone good for himself, something better for his whole family. And he, along the line, he gets invited to a party played by a character of A$AP Rocky. To a party in which something happens. He ends up having his backpack full of dope, which is essentially his Molly's in the story, but he has no choice, but he has to sell it, or else there's consequences if he doesn't sell it. Don't want to give away too much of the story, because it is a story that here's the thing. This movie is entertaining, and it's funny. It's really funny at a lot of levels, and it's really entertaining. The one thing I was surprised about is that it is a movie for millennials, and it is a movie that relates to people who grew up in the 90s, such as myself, that I grew up half of the 90s and most of the millennials. But the thing is that I embrace everything I grew up with. The thing is that I don't always love nostalgia in film, but this movie really based off nostalgia. I'm not gonna defend this movie in the way of the same way if I think, if someone loved Jurassic World or Avengers so much and they grew up watching it, and years later there's more movies and they still love it, that's you. I understand. I love a bunch of stuff from this movie because of the nostalgia of the 90s, of the music, specifically the music. But I do have to give a point of that's great to make me feel like the stuff that I grew up watching, and then the stuff that I thought were okay. But the thing is, I have to give it to the fact that I can always rely on nostalgia as a movie. As a movie of a whole, the thing is that I really enjoyed is that it, like I said, it works for millennial. It has a lot of inside jokes for millennials. It has a lot of technology nowadays for millennials, and it has a lot of stuff of youth of the 90s cultures of 80 people who grew up. References to it. The one thing that the movie is based off of is the one thing that I really did have a problem is that, like I said, it's nostalgia. So you constantly have a reference to John Singleton, Boys in the Hood type S. You have always a reference to a Spike Lee, and Spike Lee, I'll tell you how it plays a lot into the middle of the movie. You have a lot of reference to 90s culture, MTV slang. You have a lot of music as Nas, Biggie, fucking Two Live Crew. You have music of A Tribe Called Quest, which I love. The one thing that I really have to say about the movie is that the audience, when I went to go see it, the audience was mixed. You have the audience who were probably as my who think as me that you grew up with this type of music and you see this environment. How does it relate to these kids nowadays? Then you have the millennials who they fucking know the music, they know the style because they grew up listening on the internet, they grew up watching on Pandora, listening to the music on Pandora, they grew up watching on MTV, the reruns and all that shit. The thing is that for half the movie, I was looking at most of the millennials were laughing at the jokes that were not essentially to be funny. because I feel like so much now the millennials wanna embrace it. The party type of kids, those kids who there's a quick reference to the whole movie in which kids nowadays is just allowed to use the word nigga a lot. I'm sorry for using that word. I don't want to offend nobody, but it is a thing in the story in which anybody in this world nowadays could say the N word. The word nigga is embraced as is in the vocabulary nowadays for anybody who's young, and then embraces as a joke also. And the one thing is that I feel like those type of kids who they relate a lot to the story, but I feel like half of it they were trying their best to hype up the movie to be a Project X type of movie, to be one of those the same way the early 2000 kids were promoting the shit out of American Pie, how it was sexual. This one they want to promote how it's kind of sexual. It's all about drugs, party, and rock and roll, and music and hip hop. That's the same way I had the problem with this. There's the same thing that I saw, and I kind of had a problem with it because. Not so much as a problem, because the one thing I do have to say, but by the end of the movie, by the middle of the movie, it takes a big left field. Without giving away, the movie starts off as a comedy, as a hood comedy movie, in vein of Friday and Boys in the Hood. By the end of the movie, by the middle to the end of the movie, it becomes same way, a Boys in the Hood type action, a hood movie type action with the Spike Lee message, message and the whole when your characters want to give out a message to it, about black culture and stuff like that. That's how the movie reacts. The reason why I was so surprised, and it didn't bug me so much about how millennials want to react to the movie, because by the first half to the middle, I'm seriously laughing at stuff that I didn't think that was that funny, but they were eating it up. They were laughing since the first scene in the movie. When you do that, I feel like they try to force themselves to laugh at things to make the movie so hype and so popular. But by the middle of the end, when that movie took a left field, well, it was still entertaining, it was still funny, the movie got serious in its way. The movie got so serious that everybody was quiet. Those same kids that were laughing, to the end credits, their mouth was shut. To the beginning to the middle, their mouth was shut. So the second half of the middle to the last of the end credits, their mouth was shut. The beginning was laughing at every little thing, at every drug reference, at every weed reference, at every fucking sex reference, at every music reference. The one thing that the movie does rely is a lot of references and nostalgia. And one thing I have to say is that it works well. If it's a movie I really do think is a nostalgia guilt trip, it works well in the way of it brings that the young generation and the older generation could really relate a lot to the story. There's certain things in the movie where they involve in being computer geniuses, which I didn't think were really. I mean, as a whole, the story is kind of sloppy. The one thing that is directed by a long-time director who directed one of my favorite movies, The Woods, which I still think is an underrated type of hood movie mixed with a growing-up movie. And the one thing that I also with Brown Sugar, I really think that's a really entertaining movie. The one thing that the movie I do have to complain about is that the movie feels a lot like a first-time director. If a director if it's the first time directing, coming off from a short film to a music video, this is the type of movie that they would direct. This director's been in the game for a while. Yeah, not a lot of movies, but some hit and misses. But the movies that he's done have been so much more of a melodrama, mediocre type of movie about black heritage family and stuff like that, or combining mixed racials family. And this one, it feels a lot like, I feel like the director's like, okay, I'm in this new era, let me tone down my directing, let me tone down my budget, let me try to work where I have and with young actors and try and make a movie that will relate. Maybe he has kids who he see them like that, he relates to his kids, and he try, let me see what I see in my kids or when I see my family, the young generations, and they do, and we put it in the movie. And the one thing that the characters are really great, they're really entertaining as far best. They're really predictable and cheesy. They're really that cheesy hood type of movies, but it's entertaining at best. And the one thing I mean, as a whole review for the whole movie, I have to say that it's entertaining, but it's best at home. When you watch it at home, it's entertaining. At the movies, I feel like it's energetic and stuff like that. But as a movie about 90s culture, 90s music, 90s dressing, 90s problems, I honestly think there's another movie that's way more better, and it's one of my favorite movies, and it's called The Whackness, starring Josh Peck and Ben Kingsley and Olivia Thirlby, which I think is a really entertaining movie. It's more dark. It's the same type of vein of dope, but not in that really actionist in which Dope takes. This one's more toned down. It's more about serious problems and about high school problems in the 90s. The music is almost the same as the music's played in Dope, but the music relies a lot on the character in the movie, the whackness. In this one, it relates more as a joke, or it relates more as what the character's favorite music is, their favorite song, but it's entertaining, and I had a lot of fun. I do think not a lot of stuff were funny in the beginning, but I really liked this movie. I enjoyed it, but I would really enjoy it more at home because, like I said, I feel like it's one of those movies that is going to be mixed, where people are going to, the young generation is going to want to hype it up, and older generation are going to be like, it's an entertaining movie. If you grew up in the 90s, you're going to have relate a lot of it. There's a lot of relation to hood movies, to movies from Boys in the Hood, to Poetic Justice, to even fucking Training Day at some points, or even fucking movies like Project X. There's even stuff like that that relates for both generations. And the movie is about coming of age and generations, you know. And the one thing I would like to say, like, I really enjoyed the characters, but as a whole, I really think it's entertaining, but it's at home. That's all I really have to say. You know, you could go check out my reviews, and you know, I really would recommend Dope because I really think it's a movie that, I'm not one of them, no pun intended, the movie is not that dope, but the movie is fun at best. Like I said, the whole beginning is a comedy, the middle is a movie in vein of Go, and the end is more of a serious Spike Lee joint. It took a left field just by seeing the audience reaction at how it was so funny, so into the action, and by the end, it just became it's a change, and it became a straightforward message movie. And I really have to appreciate for that in one point, which, I mean, it's not done that sloppy, but like I said, it feels like a first time director, and this director's been in the game, and at least, you know, now see that, you know, the same with the reference, you know, older generation director going down to your young generation. Then hopefully he makes another movie that's kind of a little bit more better, but this one was entertaining, and I would just recommend that at home. But that's all I have to say. I hope you guys have a good day, have a good night. Doesn't matter. Go check out my review. Bye, everybody.